All right, let's cut the crap and talk about this goddamn shit show they call the Grammys.
Oh, you know it's going to be good.
Seriously, these asshats have been jerking artists around for decades. And somehow,
Decades.
everyone still pretends to give a fuck.
You gotta admit, though, there's something fascinating about how much power this golden gramophone still holds.
Right.
Even with all the controversies and shady shit that goes down, people eat this stuff up.
Right. It's like everyone's forgotten that this whole thing started because some music execs were pissed off. They weren't getting enough stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh, come on.
Talk about a fucking ego trip.
It really sets the tone for the whole Grammys thing, doesn't it?
Right.
Bunch of industry bigwigs stroking their own dicks while pretending to celebrate musical achievement.
So for the poor souls out there who haven't spent their lives dissecting every Grammy fuck-up,
Of every single one.
let's break it down.
Please.
What the hell are the Grammys beyond the glitz, the glam, and the inevitable train wreck?
Officially, the Grammys are these awards presented by the Recording Academy,
Right.
which is supposed to be this big deal organization full of music industry hotshots.
Uh-huh.
They're meant to recognize quote-unquote excellence in all things music.
Okay.
But anyone who's been paying attention
Right.
knows it's not that simple.
Oh, hell no. It's like saying the Kardashians are famous for their business acumen.
Right.
We all know the real story is way more fucked up and entertaining.
Exactly, and it starts with the name itself.
Oh, God.
Grammy Awards. The trophy is literally a gramophone.
Really?
You think these people are sitting around listening to dusty old records to pick the winners?
I doubt it.
Get real.
Seriously, it's like they're stuck in the fucking Stone Age.
Stone Age.
But hey, at least it makes for a cool paperweight, right?
Right.
So we got these Grammy Awards handed out by this Recording Academy.
Mm-hmm.
They're a part of this big three of award shows,
Oh, yeah?
the Grammys, Emmys, and Oscars.
Uh-huh.
But honestly, isn't comparing music to film and TV just idiotic? They're
Yeah.
totally different beasts.
100%. It's like comparing apples to oranges to a pile of cocaine.
Oh, there you go.
Sure, they're all things, but the similarities and they're lumping them together in this big three nonsense just reeks of this desperate need for legitimacy.
No, for sure.
Like music isn't a valid art form on its own.
Totally. Okay, but enough about the history lesson.
Right. Yeah.
Let's get to the good stuff.
Okay.
The controversies.
Oh, yeah.
This is where the Grammys really shine.
Oh, there's no shortage of those.
Right.
I mean, we're talking decades of snubs, surprises,
Yeah.
and straight up WTF moments.
Like when Mariah Carey got nominated for 6 fucking awards back in '96
he was sick.
and walked away with absolutely nothing brutal.
Brutal.
And then there's The Weeknd getting totally shut out in 2021.
Oh, yeah.
Even with After Hours blowing up the charts,
Yeah.
he even called the Grammys corrupt.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Which, let's be real, isn't exactly a hot take.
Right.
There's been this cloud of suspicion hanging over the Grammys for years, especially with the way they handle certain genres and artists.
Oh, yeah. The Grammys have more baggage than a Kardashian on a shopping spree.
It's like this whole meritocracy facade.
Yeah.
Just try to maintain, just crumbles when you look at the evidence.
Right. You've got legendary artists like Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam
That's
saying the awards don't mean shit. Glenn Hansard from The Frames, calling them fully industry-based.
yeah.
And Maynard James Keenan from Tool.
Oh, God.
That guy straight up called the Grammys a gigantic promotional machine for the music industry that caters to the low intellect.
Wow. And you know what's even more fucked up?
What's that?
Those comments were years ago,
Yeah.
and the Grammys are still pulling the same bullshit.
So let's talk about this promotional machine aspect for a second.
Okay.
Is it all about pushing records and making money instead of actually recognizing artistic talent?
I mean, it's hard to argue otherwise when you look at some of the winners. How many times have we seen safe, predictable, commercially successful albums win over groundbreaking experimental stuff?
Too many times to count. It's like
Yeah.
they're more concerned with what's going to sell
Right.
than what's actually pushing musical boundaries,
Yeah.
which, let's be honest, is kind of pathetic for an organization that
Yeah.
claims to be all about celebrating excellence in music.
Right, and this obsession with commercial success bleeds into other controversies too, like the accusations of racial bias.
Yeah.
Remember when Adele's 25 won Album of the Year over Beyoncé's Lemonade?
Oh, yeah.
Even Adele herself said Beyoncé deserved it.
That was some awkward-ass shit right there.
Yeah.
But it speaks to a larger issue with the Grammys, doesn't it? This whole playing it safe mentality seems to benefit certain artists and genres more than others.
It's not just playing it safe, it's this ingrained bias.
Right.
Conscious or unconscious that undervalues certain artists and genres particularly Black artists. Drake's talked about this, too, how he feels pigeonholed as just a rapper, even when he's making more pop-oriented music. It's like they're stuck in these outdated categories and can't see the artistry beyond that.
And speaking of being overlooked, can we talk about how the Grammys treat women? It's a fucking joke.
Oh, man, where do we even begin?
Seriously.
You got Lorde turning down a performance because they wouldn't give her a solo slot. SCA getting nominated for 5 awards in 2018 and winning absolutely nothing.
And let's not forget that former Recording Academy president telling women to step up if they want to win awards. Talk about a tone-deaf motherfucker.
That step up comment was a disaster. It sparked the whole hashtag GrammySoMel hashtag.
Oh, yeah.
And really highlighted the deep-seated sexism within the industry. But honestly, it's not just about one stupid comment.
Right.
It's a pattern of behavior.
Right. It's like they're stuck in a time warp where women are supposed to be grateful for any scraps they get.
And it's not just the artists who are speaking out. Remember Deborah Dugan, the former CEO of the Recording Academy? She got ousted after alleging that the whole voting system was rigged and riddled with favoritism.
Oh, yeah. That was some juicy drama.
Juicy.
But basically, it's all about who you know, not what you create. Color me surprised.
It definitely casts a shadow of doubt over the entire process. And let's be real, this voting process is shady as fuck.
Wait, we haven't even gotten into that yet. How the hell does this whole voting thing work? Are we talking smoke-filled rooms and backroom deals?
It's not quite that dramatic, but it's definitely not transparent.
Okay.
There's this whole 2-step process.
Right.
First, you have the nominations.
Okay.
Then the final voting. But both rounds are restricted to Recording Academy members.
Okay.
And who the hell are these people?
Yeah, seriously. Is it like a secret society? Do you have to sacrifice a goat to join?
I wish it were that interesting. The reality is it's all very vague. We know there are different membership tiers and that you have to be a working musician or industry professional to even be considered. But the specifics about qualifications, it's all pretty murky.
Okay, so we've got this shadowy group of experts.
Right.
Deciding the fate of artists' careers. But it gets even weirder, right? There's something about nomination review committees that sounds like some straight-up Illuminati shit.
Right. These committees are basically these anonymous groups that have a huge influence on who even gets nominated in the first place.
Hold up, anonymous committees.
Anonymous.
That's some shady-ass bullshit. So you're telling me that some random group of people we don't even know about can decide who deserves a shot at a Grammy?
That's the gist of it.
Oh, my God.
And it's raised a lot of eyebrows, especially after the Weeknd debacle. It's like, who are these people and what are their criteria? We don't know.
It's like the Wizard of Oz up in here pulling levers and deciding who gets to be a star.
Exactly. And the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Nominated artists can vote in their own category, so you got this potential for conflicts of interest baked right into the system.
You've got to be kidding me. It's like letting students grade their own exams. No wonder this whole thing feels rigged.
Right, and we haven't even gotten to the categories themselves yet. They're constantly changing them. Like, they're trying to keep up with the latest trends, but always falling short. It's like they're just making it up as they go along.
They went from over 100 awards down to 78, and now they're back up to 94. It's like they're trying to find the perfect formula, but can't seem to get it right.
Or maybe they're just trying to appease everyone and end up pleasing no one.
Probably. But let's not forget one of the most ridiculous aspects of the Grammys.
Okay.
This whole Big Three bullshit.
The Big Three.
You know, acting like music is on the same level as film and television.
Yes, the holy trinity of entertainment awards.
But seriously, is it even fair to compare music to film and television? There are such different art forms with totally different creative processes.
It's like comparing apples to oranges to, I don't know, a goddamn Grammy.
To a Grammy.
Speaking of which, you think they still use those old school record players to decide the winners? I highly doubt it.
Probably not. It's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're called the Grammy Awards because the trophy is literally a gramophone.
Right. Right.
But how much does that antique technology actually reflect the current state of the music industry? Not a damn thing.
It's just another reminder of how out of touch the Grammys really are.
So we've got a bunch of clueless old farts who got butthurt about not getting enough stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Right.
Handing out gramophones to artists they probably haven't even listened to.
Yeah, probably not.
Sounds about right.
It's a glorious mess, isn't it?
Absolutely. But we're just getting started. Stay tuned, folks, because we're about to dive even deeper into this Grammy shit show. We're going to unpack more controversies, financial shenanigans, and general shattery. You won't want to miss it.
You won't want to miss it. It's mind-blowing how the Grammys can act like they're this bastion of artistic integrity.
I know, right?
While simultaneously being a giant cash cow for the music industry.
Right. They're like a goddamn televangelist.
Oh, God.
Preaching about purity while raking in the dough from their devoted followers. But let's be real. We're talking about an industry worth billions.
Billions.
And the Grammys are a huge part of that money-making machine.
You hit the nail on the head. Winning a Grammy isn't just about bragging rights.
Right.
It can translate into a shit ton of money, more album sales, bigger tours, and those sweet, sweet brand endorsements.
It's like a golden ticket to the Willy Wonka chocolate factory of capitalism.
Yeah.
No wonder these artists and labels are willing to play the Grammy game.
I know.
Even if it means sacrificing their artistic souls in the process.
It's the classic Faustian bargain, but what really pisses me off
What's that?
is the hypocrisy of it all. Yeah. They're all about excellence.
Right.
But then they turn around and nominate artists who've been accused of some truly fucked up shit.
Yeah, like giving Louis C.K. a Grammy after he admitted to sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
That's a giant fuck you to all the victims out there. And don't even get me started on the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award. Seriously. An award named after a guy with a history of violence against women?
It's moments like that where the Recording Academy's true colors shine through.
Oh, yeah.
They're more concerned with protecting their image and the status quo than actually addressing these serious issues.
It's all about appearances, right?
Appearances.
They want to look all progressive and woke, but when push comes to shove, they're still clinging to the same old tired playbook.
Totally. And that disconnect between their words and actions isn't a new thing.
Right.
We've seen it over and over with their handling of racism and sexism in the industry.
Remember when they tried to blame the lack of female nominees on women not stepping up? What a load of crap. As if women haven't been creating incredible music for decades.
That step-up comment was a PR nightmare.
I know.
And it showed just how out of touch the Recording Academy is with the realities of the music world.
They're living in a fantasy land where talent takes a backseat to connections and commercial success.
Speaking of which, can we talk about the weird-ass eligibility period for the Grammys?
Yeah.
This whole October to September thing always throws me off.
Right. It's like they're deliberately trying to fuck with people.
It means that some of the biggest albums of the year, the ones released during the holiday season, might not even be eligible for that year's awards. And then you got albums winning Grammys over a year after they were released.
So basically, the timing of your release can make or break your chances of winning a Grammy, regardless of how good your music actually is.
Regardless.
What a fucked up system.
It's like trying to hit a moving target while blindfolded. And it's led to some serious controversies, like Adele's 25 missing the cutoff for the 2015 Grammys.
Yeah.
That album was a monster hit, but it didn't fit their arbitrary timeline.
And then you've got Taylor Swift's 1989 winning album of the year in 2016.
1989?
Even though it came out in 2013, it makes no goddamn sense.
The Grammys love to play by their own rules, even if those rules seem designed to create confusion and piss people off.
It's all about control.
Control.
They want to maintain their power and influence, even if it means screwing over artists in the process.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, all these weird rules and shady practices stem from the Recording Academy itself. They're supposed to be the gatekeepers of musical excellence.
Right.
But from what we've seen, they're more like a bunch of out-of-touch executives who are more interested in lining their own pockets.
Oh, yeah.
Than actually supporting artists.
It's like a goddamn country club.
Country club.
Where the old guard gets to decide who's worthy of being let in.
And that's why so many artists are disillusioned with the Grammys.
Yeah.
They see it as a rigged system that favors the established players.
Right.
While ignoring the truly innovative and groundbreaking voices.
We've talked about the racial bias against Black artists.
Yeah.
But let's not forget the lack of representation for Hispanic and Latino American musicians.
Oh, totally.
They're the largest minority group in the U.S., but the Grammys constantly overlooks them.
It's a major blind spot for the Recording Academy.
Right.
And it reflects a bigger problem in the music industry as a whole. And then you got international artists who are often relegated to the sidelines. Remember when they left the legendary Lana Mangeshkar from India out of the In Memoriam segment?
Seriously, they couldn't even be bothered to acknowledge one of the most influential singers of all time.
I want it the most.
Talk about disrespect.
It's like the Grammys have this America First mentality, even though they claim to be celebrating music from all over the world.
It's a narrow-minded view of what constitutes good music.
Yeah.
And it shows just how out of touch they are with the global musical landscape.
They're stuck in their little bubble, oblivious to the incredible talent that exists outside of their limited worldview.
Okay, but let's circle back to the money for a second, because it's not just about the artists and the awards, right? The Grammys themselves are a massive business with TV deals, sponsorships, and all sorts of financial shenanigans going on.
Oh, yeah. The Grammys are a cash cow for the Recording Academy. And there have been some serious questions raised about how they're spending that money. Remember when they used funds from their own charity to cover cost overruns for the 60th Grammys?
Wait, seriously, they stole from their own charity? What a bunch of greedy bastards.
It's a perfect example of how financial considerations can trump ethical concerns when it comes to the Grammys. And how about that time they asked Tiffany Haddish to pay her own way to host the pre-telecast premiere ceremony talk about cheapskates?
They couldn't even spring for her hair and makeup.
Seriously.
They treat artists like shit, especially when it comes to the less glamorous parts of the Grammys.
It's like they're saying, hey, you're lucky to be here, so shut up and pay up.
What a bunch of entitled assholes. But here's the kicker. Despite all the controversies, the shady practices, the blatant hypocrisy, millions of people still tune in to watch the Grammys every year.
It's a car crash. You can't look away.
Right. We love to see the drama unfold, the snubs, the surprises, the potential for wardrobe malfunctions.
Yeah.
It's all about the entertainment value, not the actual music.
But there's definitely an element of spectacle to it.
Right.
But I also think there's a genuine desire to see talented artists get recognized for their work.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Most people are just watching for the train wreck, who's going to win, who's going to get screwed over, who's going to have a meltdown on stage.
You're not wrong. And that desire to create a TV-friendly spectacle has definitely shaped how the Grammys operate. They only present a handful of awards during the actual broadcast. The rest are relegated to a pre-show that nobody watches.
Wait, seriously? So all those smaller categories like Best Polka Album?
Polka?
Or Best Surround Sound Album?
Surround sound.
They don't even get their moment in the spotlight?
Nope. They're treated like second-class citizens hidden away from the cameras and the A-listers.
That's messed up. It's like they're saying that some types of music are more important than others.
It reinforces this idea that the Grammys are all about mainstream appeal, not about celebrating the full spectrum of musical expression.
So if you're not a pop star or rapper, you might as well not even show up.
It's a harsh reality, but that's the Grammys for you.
Yeah.
They're obsessed with ratings, sponsorships, and creating a show that will generate buzz.
But at what cost are they willing to sacrifice true artistry and genuine recognition for the sake of entertainment? And what does all of this mean for the artists who are caught in the middle of this shit show?
That's a damn good question, and it leads us to some even more complicated issues.
We've spent the last hour ripping the Grammys a new one, exposing all their shady bullshit and hypocrisy. But even after all that, we got to admit for a lot of artists that little golden gramophone is still the holy grail.
Oh, yeah.
It's like winning a Grammy can magically erase all the bad shit and make you feel like you've finally made it.
It's true that Grammy Award holds a lot of symbolic power. It's a physical representation of success, and it can open doors that were previously slammed shut. For some artists, it's the culmination of years of blood, sweat, and tears.
I get it. It's like that validation from the industry, the recognition from your peers. But is it worth all the drama, the compromise, the potential for getting screwed over? Look at what happened to Nicki Minaj. She's been calling out the Grammys for years, claiming they blackballed her after that controversial performance back in 2012.
Nicki's situation is a perfect example of how the Grammys can be both a blessing and a curse.
Right.
On the one hand, they give you this huge platform, this global spotlight.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they can control your narrative, punish you if you step out of line, and change the rules on a whim.
And let's not forget, they moved her song, Super Freaky Girl,
Oh, God.
from the rap categories to the pop categories. What the fuck was that about?
It just shows you that the Grammys are controlled by a small group of people with their own agendas.
Right.
And those agendas don't always align with what the artists or the fans actually want.
So what's the solution? Do we just boycott this whole goddamn thing? It's not like the Recording Academy is going to have a sudden epiphany and change their ways overnight.
A boycott might send a message, but it could also hurt the artists who are genuinely trying to use the Grammys as a platform for their music. It's a tough call.
True. I mean, we can't just sit here and pretend everything's hunky-dory. We need to keep calling out the bullshit demand change and support the artists who are fighting for a more equitable and inclusive music industry.
100%. We need to hold the Recording Academy accountable for their actions.
Yes.
And amplify the voices of those who are being marginalized and silenced.
So after all this talk about rigged voting corruption and general shattery, what the hell does this all mean for the future of the Grammys? Are they going to go the way of the dinosaurs, or will they adapt and survive?
It's hard to say. They've weathered a lot of storms over the years, and they're still a major force in the industry, but they can't ignore the growing backlash. More and more artists are speaking out, and fans are becoming disillusioned, and the cracks are starting to show.
Maybe this is a turning point.
Yeah.
Maybe the Recording Academy will finally get their heads out of their asses and start listening to the demands for change.
Or maybe they'll just double down on their bullshit and continue to operate as a self-serving, money-hungry machine.
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the Grammys aren't the untouchable institution they once were.
Right.
Their credibility is shot, and it's going to take a hell of a lot of work to regain the trust of artists and fans.
They got a long way to go if they want to be seen as anything more than a glorified popularity contest.
So there you have it, folks. The Grammys, a glorious shit show of contradictions, controversies, and questionable choices. Are they still relevant? Do they still matter? Honestly, I don't have a fucking clue.
But what is clear is that this conversation is far from over.
And that's the beauty of it. It's up to each of us to decide what the Grammys mean to us and how we want to engage with them. We can choose to celebrate the artists we love, critique the system, or just enjoy the drama. It's your call.
There's no right or wrong answer. It's all about being informed and making conscious choices.
But before you go, I want you to think about something we haven't really touched on. What about the impact of streaming services and how we consume music these days? Do the Grammys even reflect how most people listen to music anymore? Are they going to evolve or go extinct?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And one that deserves a deep dive of its own.
Keep those brain cells buzzing, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Deep Dive piece out here.